All right, everybody. The last time we were on the wilds of Valandiir, the Crown Collectors had accepted a job from their illustrious and mysterious, to a fault, benefactor, Marquis, clearing out a keep in the forested region north of Dainne. You successfully drove out a coven of vampires, either through expelling their ghostly counterparts or burning them with radiant energy. The entirety of the party, which amounted to about 6 or 7 vampires, has been expunged. And at this point, to your knowledge, there is still one sketchy part of this cave, but for the most part, the threat is gone. So, you now stand in front of a bank of captive prisoners. Many of them are deceased. A grisly and bloody surrounding room where you have a dining room table covered in blood, body parts in various stages of decay. The floor is covered in old, various stages of blood. There are quite a few... They bring you all to the map. There are quite a few torture devices and racks, so to speak, strewn about the room. Piles and piles of refuse and discarded clothing, and not many weapons, but I don't believe you guys have thoroughly searched this room in its entirety. You just kind of started with its coffin and such. Bodies everywhere, bones strewn about the lair. There is a 3-tiered plateau in the corner, obviously over here. There's a row of
somebody flew up there.
Yep. I think, Misty stepped.
Yeah.
Checked it out. It's surrounded by a high spiked fence with a black and green type of Icarus fluid kind of dripping off some of the spikes. You managed to save one of the prisoners that were in collapsing but alive condition.
I thought we saved 2.
Yeah, I thought we said 2 out of the 4.
2 out of the 4. Right. I remember there being half of them. So,
yes.
2, a male and a female. The female is a half-elf or three-quarter elf mixed with what looks like a halfling. She's a very short female, elven-looking heritage. And the male is a human. He's very feeble. He's thin, balding hair. He's wearing tattered clothes. He's got bites on his neck, as does the female. And they're both kind of on their knees. You guys are sort of holding onto them so they don't collapse onto the ground, but they're extraordinarily weak right now. You have the run of the place. You do not see anything that is an immediate threat, although I will take a group perception check as the space is clear to your best of your knowledge. Perception check by the group. Ooh, perfect. 22 by Koza.
Natural 20 for 20.
Natural 20. 18.
15, sorry.
Need one from Yuno, too.
Would Agir also like to make it?
Yeah, he is. Well, who's rolling for him? Somebody roll for him.
I'll roll for him.
Okay.
I got his character sheet.
Very, very high rolls.
And is that with advantage?
You have his sheet is clicked to let's see here.
Sorry, I don't know why that was clicked to advantage.
Because I probably did it because I was using it before. Last game I was playing as him. Very, very good rolls. Alright. So between has for the most part been y'all's security force. Like she's somebody that kind of constantly rotates around the perimeter of the party when you guys are traveling. She does her dive in between trees if she hears an animal breaking a twig nearby. So Maven's perception of this room in particular, as it is devoid of light, and her, obviously, your religion is that of light. So when you're in darkness, this horrible, very uncomfortable for you in particular, as well as Koza, and to a degree as well, because there is There is a presence in this place, this dark cave at the bottom of this keep, that has endured such concentrated negative energy in part of all the murder you see around you. Murder for pleasure, murder for sustenance. These are vampires. A lot of you have never actually encountered them. But the macabre scene around you, the grotesque cruelty that was exerted through this place permeates the stone. And you three in particular, who are godly people, as well as Axton and his new affinity with Jordan, it's difficult not to notice things that change. So the quiet murmuring of your newly found Greek prisoners aside, you all of you, except for Sazaros, who is kind of beside himself in grief over the shocking scene around him, notice a skittering of grit in this direction right here. Kind of get the feeling like almost like a foot scrape behind you. Oh, you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
They're so scared that they've grown silent.
I'm currently looking through my spells to see if I can detect anything.
Well, as you're detecting...
Does Luna react to it at all?
Yes, she does.
She's right next to it.
She's staring at the room in the middle. It's quite dark, although there are many of you who can see, including Koza and Haven.
We have the bone of light.
And the bone of light, it is only producing a sphere of light in a 20-foot radius, I believe. So, and
I cast
like
detect
I said,
evil and good.
specifically that is fiends, right? Angels.
It's celestial. It's aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiend, and undead.
And evil and good. Celestial. Okay, yes, you definitely detect a newly forming undead presence right here.
Newly forming.
Yes. So, anybody else, or are you so dumbfounded with how horrible it is that you are failing to react? Because I'm going to start counting.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still just trying to calm down the escapees, letting them reassuring that we're going to get you guys out of here.
Okay.
But I'm seeing everybody else kind of tensing up a little bit, and I'm like, well, don't tell me we got more.
Where was it?
Right here.
Okay, I'm gonna walk right here and cast Sacred Flame on it.
All right. Sacred Flame scatters I know what it is.
Go ahead.
I really need
It
to
automatically
computer
fails.
fixed.
But the thing is you're not
Are you trying to tell me something or ask
not
me?
Yeah, I was trying to ask if it was.
targeting a creature yet. But
You don't have to target.
you mark your hand over a shallow pile of ashes, and what you see there is, and at this point, no, this is going to occur because of the amount of time that's passed. You direct a sacred flame blast onto a thin pile of ashes, and you notice a bronze necklace with some kind of a sigil carved on it. What it does is it glows green. You blast it with radiant energy. Doesn't have an effect because it's not a creature. And it cracks, it glows green, and a puff of green energy settles into the ashes. And you see for a brief moment the ashes coalesce into a humanoid form before bursting into a cloud of mist. And that's all that happens in that short span of time.
Can I stomp on the little amulet to try and destroy it?
You can when everyone else has a chance to do something, because you just blasted it with Sacred Flame. Is there anything anybody else would like to immediately do?
I'm going to move forward about 10 feet.
Okay. That orb has dropped, by the way. You can take that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, then in that case, I'll just Actually, I'm going to stay where I am. I'm going to stay back here with the escapees.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I do have
Now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I'm just looking over my
I
spell.
want to move over to the escapees with Sazros.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Cure Wounds on myself.
A quick question: does everybody have control of your icons on the field? Because I know sometimes when we start a game, use that for some reason.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So you all kind of witness this happen and turn your back and face the prisoner, forming kind of a protective wall. Cloud of mist. You can hear a very distinctive as it carves a path in through the space of your group and just wafts its way along this trajectory. Not hurting you, you guys don't feel it really. You feel a very slight moist feeling as it passes through you, but this green and black swirling mist cloud just kind of FOs down this hallway, disappears.
Better pursue.
Well,
What was that?
I'm giving it 30 feet of movement every 6 seconds if you want to play it that way.
Yeah, let's go after it. Let's see what's going on.
I'm gonna grab the amulet
Okay.
and take it with us.
Okay. Add bronze amulet to your inventory.
Does anyone want to stay here with me and help the help the prisoners we just did? I have no abilities with this thing. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm running on fumes as far as spell slots, but so I'll hang back here and we'll help guide them back.
All right.
Okay. Away it goes. It's about down here at this point.
Anyone else chasing after it?
Go, go, go!
I'm pursuit.
All right. Go ahead and place your
35 meter
right here.
move.
Yep, I have 55 move.
Yeah, I got you.
Who's down here? All I see is Maven.
Where's Barry? What you doing?
I'll just stay up around here. Yeah, I'm just up here.
All right. Sazros, you too? Or are you hanging back?
I'm hanging back. I mean, we're gonna follow, but we're moving at a much slower rate because we've got the escapees with us.
Okay, fair enough. So these three individuals, actually, right now it's just Yuno and Maven because of where Koz is standing. You witnessed that the firebolts that you had lit earlier have engulfed this area, and it is now actively on a very hard to breathe radius centered over here, where it's burning the whole area, and you are no longer able to pass without passing through fire. So that is what you see, the two of you.
But we are stuck.
All right, so that's what Yuno and Maven see. And Koza will as soon as he rounds the corner. Atgeir is just kind of he's looking back and forth, trying to figure out if he wants to stay or go with the investigating party. So he's going to plant himself right about here. He also remembers that this cave is full of possibly more sludge that could be turned into oozes. So he's just kind of parking himself right there. What is the rescue party doing?
I guess we're just kind of assessing to make sure these folks are okay to travel, and then just kind of gathering up.
Well,
Try to tend to some of their wounds, maybe, like give them some bandages or something.
okay.
Yeah, address their wounds. Attend to their immediate needs.
Sorry, they do not have a terrible amount of devastating wounds on their body. They look more drained of a life essence than anything else. They do have piercings on their necks and in a few places, and their wrists. They also have slashes at their wrists that have been sewn together and poorly bandaged. kind of slicing gashes at their ankles and stuff. It looks like for, torture and torture effects and things like that. So let's get a medicine check from everybody who's staying behind, especially Baranor. Baranor, you can make a survival check when it comes to addressing these people's wounds.
Bam!
Absolute garbage.
All right.
Oh, Sazros. Damn.
Nat 20. Nice.
So, Baranor, you're not as much of a field medic when it comes to really super injured people like this, people who have like a debilitating condition, as these people would if they were drained of their life essence for who knows how long.
Yeah, I've never seen stuff like this.
It's a little jarring, a little shocking to you. The state of their flesh and their physical being. It's this place is horrible. This place is a terrible, terrible, terrible.
This place sucks.
In more ways than one.
It disturbs you to the point where you're just sort of there you're trying to keep them calm and give them like a warm look as they're gazing out into their first steps of freedom. And Sazros, however, you are Johnny on the spot. You know exactly what you're doing. I think it's a little meta.
Yeah, for real. Real life. Art and play life.
But you are sort of standing there looking at these people, and you can feel Anthem's edge kind of jump into your grip a little bit. Your hand was already there, but you can feel like the handle become instantly more comfortable, and you feel kind of this inspiration that you typically give other people surge through your ability to think and your decision making, and you lie one of them down, and you begin applying salves that you carry on your person, very small amounts, usually for like kind of like burns, yeah. And you weave a magic that you didn't expect through Anthem's edge and its ability to inspire. And you feel this energy divert into these characters. So I want to go ahead and have you go ahead and roll a d10 and add your medicine modifier to it.
Okay, so D10 plus 3. 5.
So, you're also not a field medic, so this is a new experience for you. But you definitely kind of give a boost to how they feel, and you wrap their legs and kind of support their feeble muscles at this moment. You give them another 7 hit points each. They, while certainly not, perhaps even on the road to recovery, they at least find the strength to walk on their own. They do need a little bit of help, kind of like someone to lean on, maybe an arm under the shoulder, but they are at least able to get up, move around, and they see they're just physically whipped. They're kind of trying to sob, but they can't. They don't have the strength to do that yet. They're just ready to collapse, but they find the strength to go on. What is the people down here who are on fire doing? Where did Maven go? She booked. She's like, I'm out.
She's
I'm
like,
just
fuck
going to
that.
head back to tell everybody, hey, well, the passage is blocked by a wall of flame, so we should probably figure out another way to get out.
That was the links.
I'm going to have give me an intelligence, just a general intelligence check, like an arcana check, perhaps.
Oh, okay, so arcana or intelligence?
Give me an arcana check, because this was your firebolt that did this.
27.
27, yeah. You have intimate knowledge of your magic, and you know what it's capable of, so I'm going to say that you get the feeling that this will burn out and then be done, and it will lose all of its fuel. That could be several hours, maybe even 10. But you also know that it's not going to spread to anything, like it's not magic fire that burns on anything, so it's not like it's going to crawl along the walls. You are effectively trapped unless you put it out, but you get the feeling it will burn out on its own. It's just a matter of time.
All right, I'm going to go back to the group and relay that information to them.
All right. And Koza, you notice that the blood on the ground is kind of drying from the heat of the proximity to this giant fireball. And you're just happy that something in this place is burning away. Being rid of. Because everything here is just feels awful and feels off too. Like it's kind of out of phase.
Feels unholy.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, so do we have anyone that can put it out for one? If not, do we want to try the scary hole in the wall? I don't know if it's a passage or not.
Go ahead and give me a perception check for Atgeir, please.
Who's rolling for Atgeir?
Okay. I will.
Okay.
You said perception?
Yep.
Oh, come on.
So, Atgeir is visibly disturbed right now. He's having trouble focusing on what he was doing, which is keep an eye on this pit. And you know who to leech, snaking its way up the rock towards Atgeir. 5 feet. That's what you see. You hit it, and the tendril immediately retreats. And you all visibly hear a gentle sloshing.
Well, I think that rules out using escape route.
Let's make an Arcana check. Because if it hasn't attacked us outright really yet, aside from when we get close to it, there's a chance that it will leave us alone because it almost seemed like it was summoned out by your enemies. That's all you can suss from it.
Yeah, so I guess if we don't bother it won't bother us as long as we're not perceived as a threat to it.
All right. So my question still stands. Do we have anyone that can put out fire or anything like that?
I can do a lot of things, but I'm not a firefighter.
Yeah, I can only control 5 feet
Sazros,
of
do you still
fire at
have
a time.
Cone of Cold? Or did you use it?
No, I have 2 more uses of my breath weapon.
That may do it.
We just need to carve a path, right? We don't need to put out the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it. Like I said, I've only got 2 more shots of it, but yeah, I can try anything once. Twice if she likes it.
Well, because again, it's not a magical fire, so it's not going to keep going. It's just a regular fire that is on shit. So 2 blasts of breath weapon should be enough to put it mostly out.
Well, in those 15-foot cones, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. I like this plan. Let's do it.
What a Ghostbuster-y reaction.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, who's coming with me?
Atgeir is going to back up, and he is going to assist the civilians. So he'll be last.
I'll be right there with him.
Going to be right here. All right, so we'll do this in like 50-foot chunks.
Okay.
So you guys place yourself here and let me know what you want to do when you want to do it.
All right, form up.
Maven, can you punch fast enough to put out flames?
I will give her. I'll give her a 5-foot cube of cleared area that she just puts out with her fists.
She seems to be able to do everything else with them. So
Send her right here. I'll give her that one. She does the Chun-Li kick like a fan.
Yeah.
Cool. That's dope monk shit.
Yeah, dope monk shit.
All right, Sazros. You do your thing. You choose where you want the 50-foot cone to start, and I will tell you what happens when you do.
15.
15.
What did I say, 50?
Yeah, if only. I mean, I'll take 50 if you give it to me, but...
You better get real cool, the really big silver dragon.
Suddenly, Dragonborn would be real OP.
All right,
so I'm gonna get as close as I can, maybe even like right abutting it as close as I can, and I'm gonna take one blast, kind of more towards, kind of coming at a downward angle. Try to carve out as much this way.
Perfect. All right, we're going to say for the purposes of this, that now has this appearance. But this area up here is still on fire, so I'm going to fire on there too. Just gotta. So, you guys go ahead and think about what you want to do next, because this is about what the scenario looks like.
Well,
that's going to last for a little while. You didn't blast it.
That top area can still burn as far as I'm concerned. Just trying to get out of here.
Atgear's going to bring up the civilians to about there.
The keep now has underground heating.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Alright, so now I'm coming here. And kind of blasting along this way, straight ahead, trying to clear out that section. Alright, move.
And now
Let's go.
these guys, you see this starting to etch again in this area. This is starting to travel.
Let's go.
Move. Go.
Move.
Unfortunately, Atgear is at half speed, so he makes it to about there. He's with the civilians, but they are moving.
No, I'm with him, so that's not bad.
Okay, so I'll give you guys same speed as everybody else, so he's about there. Alright, the fire, we're going to say, just for the sake of brevity, the fire is effectively behind you. You're in this region over here. Fire is beginning to grow. Unfortunately for you, you all are now in the path of the smoke escape for the fire. You're going uphill. You're going back up to the cellar level of the keep. I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh no!
You are now actively gagging on smoke.
Nice.
That is a dirty 20.
How about
11
Atgear?
for me.
All right.
Sazaros.
Nope.
No, it got a 16. It's okay.
Ooh.
Not good. Alright, Sazaros and Atgear, you withstand 7 points of
7
smoke damage or poison damage, if it matters. Everybody else takes nothing as you're able to hold your breath. And at this point, I need everybody to calculate how long they can hold their breath.
Oh, how do we do that?
I believe is it's like 1 times your con modifier or something like that.
1 times.
And everybody else knows, shout it out.
It's 1 minute plus 1 minute per Constitution modifier.
So if you got a 3, you got 1 plus however many cons.
I got 2 minutes.
Okay, so Yuno's got 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
I got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Maybe 4.
You got the constitution of a vending machine, you know?
He's a big block of concrete. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of a skill challenge to get out of here as the place is on fire and throwing smoke up in your path. We'll go down the Discord list and start with people's ideas on what you can do to succeed in getting out of here, aside from just climbing your guts out. We'll start with Zazaros. What would you like to do for this challenge?
You mean as far as making our way out of here?
Yep.
Make it away.
Don't think it's too very difficult. I think we can make it all the way over here to where this broken sigil is pretty easy. But you said we're just actively going through this billowing smoke.
Oh yeah, it's very thick, by the way. The smoke is... This fire's smoke game is on point. It is difficult to breathe. You are being forced to hold your breath, and some of you have already taken damage from just coughing it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where you are. You're at the midpoint of a bottom of a cave that is just the cellar of a big mansion. So you get the feeling that if you don't do stuff, don't move your butt and get out of here, it's going to be hard to breathe, and you're going to start choking to death before you get to the surface. So.
Yeah. So in order to help improve folks' visibility, I'm going to take my mandolin and just start playing, so at least through the thickness of the smoke, they can at least hear where I am to make the way through.
All right.
And then from there, just kind of feeling along the side here as best I can to make my way out.
Okay. We're going to call this section of the cave difficult terrain as you're going uphill, and it's kind of gravelly. It was a lot easier for you guys to kind of get down here, but coming up is a little bit more of a challenge. And I'll say as soon as the path was clear,
I think you locked yourself out or something.
You guys kind of started booking it. So,
Anybody got something like gust of wind or something like that?
well, let's ask Koza or Barry, because they're up next in the line of what they can do here.
I have no spells that could blow back or cause any type of wind.
I might. Hang on.
And in this, while you're sitting there thinking, and you can hear Adgear bringing up the rear, he says, "Take the rope off my hip. Someone who can run fast, run ahead. Tie it off, and let's go up the rope."
We know who's got the fastest movement.
I do it.
All right. Maven, go ahead. Give me a dope monk shit roll.
Okay.
What is
Acrobatics.
Yes, indeed. It's being renamed dope monk shit.
Jesus?
I
Plus,
don't
26.
have.
All right.
she rolled a 26.
Where
Roll a
she
20,
is,
sorry.
I will say that you make it all the way to the broken circle, and you have 100 foot of or 50 feet of rope right here, where everybody is, because I believe that's about. Yeah. There's a rope dangling at your feet, Sazaros, and right about now, Adgear is about here with the folks. Anyway. So, that was a success.
All right.
Who's next? Yeah, Barry, you and Koza got any ideas?
I have no spells that can help us, so let's see.
You guys can all progress here too.
Shit, this is all difficult terrain.
Yeah, it's not easy to walk around. It's you grab the rope though and find that it's much easier having somebody on higher ground helping you up a rope.
Anybody got like earth shape or anything like that to help?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I have anything like that. I think the only thing I have is the cantrip, but that only lets me do like 5 feet at a time.
That's pretty time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't got anything.
Well, then give me an athletics check if you'd like to climb up the rope. See how you do.
Alrighty.
Barry, maybe you decided, or are you just kind of following the crowd?
I might just follow the crowd. I could shovel some dirt on top of the fire, but that's about it.
That's a 19 for athletics.
Okay, yeah, you make your
I'm
way.
rolling very high tonight.
Make your
And
way.
the stronger folks like pick up the escapees.
Yeah, I can try to help move along the escapees.
Okay. You take one, Atgear takes one, everybody's kind of climbing up the rope. So, Yuno and Baranor, anything you'd like to do before we get to that?
I got nothing. I've been looking.
I'm going to use my telekinetics to pull whoever's last up an additional 5 feet.
Okay. Yeah, that's the that's you know, that's Axton and Atgear, or at least Atgear and one of the survivors. So yeah, you give them a boost, and you know, thanks to that telekinetic energy, the ones bringing up the rear are at least able to keep up with everybody. So,
And then I'm going to grab on the rope and start a pulling.
all right. So, yeah, go ahead. Everybody who's just jumping on the rope, let's get some athletic checks.
Athletics.
Very good.
Not sure why.
13.
I'm going to take the 25, Barry. 13.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I went to disadvantage.
Okay, that's all right. So, you know, hanging back. I mean, it's 13 doesn't fail this. It's an athletics check on a rope that's secure. It's just a matter of how fast you get up there. I'm going to have you go ahead, being that you are taking up the rear. You're also helping people with magic. Go ahead and give me a con save with advantage. Just because at this moment you're kind of struggling to hold your breath.
Who's taking the con save?
At this point, just you know.
Just you.
18.
18, yeah. You kind of you hiccup a little bit, or a little bit of the smoke gets in your lungs, but it's not bad. You close it up, lock it up, hold your breath, you're fine. So at this moment, everybody can go ahead and get to the transportation circle, but you do notice as you leave this area and take one glance behind you, Axton and Yuno both see that the fire has resumed its consumption to a degree of this pile of refuse. So, but you're all at the transportation circle at this point, and kind of dealing with what's going on. I'm going to say a solid minute has passed, so you guys can, well, we'll say 30 seconds to get here, not too terribly long. You find yourself at the top of the cave. You can see in here with a very, very dim, spotty, crisscrossing beams of light from holes in the floor above.
Hello.
Hello?
Okay. You kind of tapered out, so I wasn't sure.
Sorry about that. I was just saying that up here you can see little crisscrossing ribbons of light from moonlight in the floor above.
Okay.
But you're at the top. I'll help you guys out. Not up there anymore. And you're in the secret room of the cellar, or I should say you're in the tunnel entrance next to this secret room.
All right, we want to keep going, guys?
I mean, what other option we got?
I don't know. Sit here and catch our breath for a second, but then carry on.
Any eyes on that green wisp thing that we saw?
Yeah, what happened to that?
I'm going to say in your efforts to deal with the fire, most of you were pretty distracted. Axton, give me a perception check. You have very high passive.
What's the amulet doing?
The amulet is inert.
Yeah.
It's actually broken. Looks like it looks kind of like a locket in almost like a Tylenol pill shape that kind of was meant to open up like a hot dog bun, but it's sealed shut. and there's almost like a bullet wound exit forward where the brass or the bronze had kind of shroomed outward as something came out of it.
Okay, I'm gonna smash it against the wall one more time for good measure and then throw it away.
It is splinter to slag bronze. So, let's go down the list, Sazros, because this isn't over. This area is filled with smoke as it is exiting up this way. With no other exit for the smoke to go, so it's funneling through here. Alright. So we're going to say at this point you guys stop for a moment. We lost about 30 seconds, so everybody can go ahead and mark 1 minute off their breathe time.
Alright. The spell has verbal component.
I mean, I'd say you could cast a spell, but you'd have to lose a minute worth of breath.
Oh, lose a minute of breath? Oh, well, I've only got 2 minutes, so... No. You said it was minutes...
Minutes plus your con.
Equal to your con.
Oh, I would say minutes plus your con modifier. 1 minute plus.
Oh, 1 minute. 1 minute plus. Okay, so I've got 3 minutes.
Alright. One's already gone, and you'd lose 1 if you cast a spell.
We cast a spell. I'm gonna hold on to it for right now. All right. I'm assuming we've detached the rope back here as we were making our way. Is that correct?
Sure.
Or we have not yet?
No, that's fine. Just kind of pull it off a rock that it's tied to. No big deal.
Okay. Do we want... Can I hold my action to let them kind of redo this as far as re-secure the rope?
Well, you guys are at the top of the tunnel, and you're entering flat ground.
Okay.
Right now, you're even with this room. This was all downhill.
Okay, so this is all even terrain. We don't need the additional help. Okay. So I guess this next round I will just continue. Like I said, I don't have any spells or anything that's going to provide any benefit to the group at this point. It's just, All
right. No, you can make a full dash out of this room. If you wish to use your movement and stuff. That applies to everybody. If that's all you want to do is just book it, feel free.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So after... Let's see here. It's only been a minute. You still have plenty of time. Nobody's going to have to. We're going to say this area here is just covered in broken wine bottles and smashed wood. Say you get to this door, which you guys did shut behind you. You can all congregate there.
After we get past this door, the secret door, can we close it?
Okay. So where Maven and Axton are, you see an arch. And there is a wall that you have pressed into a swiveling, kind of like a ass over tea kettle kind of swivel where it's got a hinge in the middle. That's how you guys got in here, is you pressed it.
Right.
And the bottom...
Can we push it the other way?
The bottom there's some space, about 3 or 4 feet from the pile of refuse right here to the edge of the door. Is about 3 feet, because you needed to get room. There has to be room or else it won't move. And that's down there. So whoever is doing that, there's only room for 2 people really to a stride, or maybe 3 if you go tight to each other. You can give me athletics checks to move the door back into place once everybody's on the other side of it.
All right, who's the strong ones here?
Hi.
Not so much me.
Well, I'm fairly strong.
My strength's only a 14.
It's higher than mine.
What is this type of check? Athletics, you said?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if...
That's been for me.
Jeez.
Thanks. Okay, so you're at the point now.
Hold on, I'm coming.
What about Koza? You're pretty big, right?
Yeah, but my strength's only 13.
You're a furbolg, aren't you?
Yeah.
What does furbolgs do? comes to carrying stuff.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Let me check.
You have that thing.
I have a
size.
feat.
A Furbolg thing.
Yeah, I have a thing. Hang on. Let me read it. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and what you can push, drag, or lift.
Ah.
Alright, so I'm going to use that.
He's going to bulk out. His muscles will bulge out.
I instantly become 3 sizes bigger. Alright, do I need to make like a strength check or?
You make a strength check with a large Furbolg's strength stats. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So then what would I add to that? Because right now my modifier is just +1.
Okay. Hold please. Does anybody else want to do anything as you're moving through here?
Not really.
No. Just
trying to get this.
Getting the heck out of here.
Trying to get this door shut, and then we can maybe choke off the smoke.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a strength check where you have a +1, but I'm going to give it to you at advantage where you have a +3.
Okay, so I'm making a strength check with advantage and a +3?
Yep.
Okay.
You are
So
a big
it's 15.
Furbolg, and you are very good at dragging things. And
So that is a 15.
oh boy. Wait, hang.
Total.
What happened to rolling high? All right, so here's the problem.
I said something, that's what happened.
Here's the problem. Axton and Koza, you are unable to budge the door. It's pretty stuck. You moved it a couple inches, but not enough, and the smoke is still filling this room.
All right, let's get going then, guys.
All right.
We tried. Let's go.
All right.
And we close this door up here. So we can just open that one again.
This one is still open. But yeah, this door is shut. It is a simple knob door. There's nothing elaborate. There's no lock. It's just closed. You guys just closed it behind you. Yours
Sure.
gonna
We'll open it.
Yep. You make it to the stairs. I'd say in all of your efforts and movement around and trying to get out of here, you're expelling air, so everybody loses another minute. I think that's 2. Everybody's okay with 2, right?
That's the max I have.
All right.
Huh? Yeah, so you'd have 2.
I have 4.
Yes, my modifier's only 1.
So. Let's see. Alright. Not really necessary, but if you guys want to place your miniatures on this map, right here, you emerge from the stairs into the first floor of the Maltrestle estate. It is still smoky here, although you can see several holes in the walls and in the ceilings through the floorboards where the smoke is freely venting. It is easier to breathe here. Tell if you just bend down low. Hold on, because you're gigantic. What is up with that? Big you do no longer have to hold your breath. If you guys stay low, you feel like you could probably get out without a problem.
Okay, cool.
All right. I know people wanted to check out that shed.
However,
off to the side.
Unfortunately,
No.
just real quick, unfortunately, I'm going to need... Let's see. Baranor, you're helping with the civilian extraction. I'd like you to roll
I am.
a D2. You know how to do that?
Sure. D2. Actually, I don't. Just the D4?
You do D4.
Before and have it.
Okay. The female elf has fallen unconscious at this point.
No.
So, and I believe we'll say that it was Atkir holding her. So, Koza, you think about what you want to do to rectify this situation. The other gentleman who is with Baranor is struggling to keep up with you guys at this point, but he's still walking.
All right. I've got one last healing word that I can use on the elf if needed, or if anybody else has healing word to stabilize her.
I have healing word. I have healing abilities if someone wants to grab this guy.
You said she's just unconscious?
Yes, she has fallen unconscious.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Spare the Dying on her.
Okay. She does not rouse from her consciousness, but you notice that she's not in those throes of death internally. Like you can feel someone kind of unconsciously struggling to stay alive. You feel like they're at least in a kind of a comatose state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Excellent. And then, let's see, do I have any healing cantrips?
Akir raises a small pink vial and says, I've got a healing potion if you want me to use it.
No.
Well, let's wait for right now.
All right.
I'll go ahead and pick her up.
Yeah, easy. No problem. This door is not actually closed. By the way, it's swung open.
All right, so we'll make our way out.
Sure.
Close the door behind us. Sound cool?
Yep.
Akir's down. He's helping with the elf and carrying her fireman. Or no, I believe Sazros, you said you were picking her up. Just kind of sticking close to you. So you guys, I mean, obviously, I'm going to need a perception check as you guys are kind of like, you're leaving, but you don't, I mean, Akir is not going to just bluster through here. He's going to take a look around as he leaves.
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Hang on. Perception.
You moonwalk your way out.
There we go.
25.
29.
Fuck you.
Not 20. What I do. Occasionally.
All right.
Okay. Oza, you guys are going to look around, huh? Or not?
I'll start looking around.
Give me a perception check.
Well, I don't like that.
That is a 10.
Uh-oh. Okay. Castle is quiet. There is a billowing sound of wind as the smoke is carried up through the rafters and filling this space with a hazy gray hue. It is difficult to breathe, but not impossible. But you guys managed to make it out of the first floor entrance that you came in, right here, nearly as quietly as you entered, into the night air. Air is crisp, quiet. A slight breeze rustles leaves of nearby trees that timed in a weird way. But you're out. You're all at this moment out.
Okay.
It is dark, not twilight or dusk. It is dark.
Yeah, you're in the throes of the 2 to 3 o'clock. Well, no, you guys entered kind of in the evening, so you've only been out here about a few hours. So you're definitely in the midnight range, 1 o'clock, something like that.
Anyone want to come with me and check out this barn over here?
Yeah, I will.
Can you make your little protected hut so that we can get these folks in? And
there are 7 of you. It fits 10, I believe. Plus, there's 7 of you plus the 2 civvies, so
it'll be snug, but yeah, we can get all of us in.
Yeah, so I'll cast Tiny Hut, which, hold on, let me just double check. 9 creatures.
Perfect.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly how many. It's going to be like,
well,
putting up a 6-man tent.
It's going to be a tight fit.
If the spell includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures, it fails. Does the furbolg count as a large creature?
In this respect. That's the cool thing about it.
Okay.
Alright, so Luna...
Then we all fit.
Cool. Yeah, you can just pick on the map where you want that to be. But Luna dives headfirst into this barn. You can tell, but without any fear, and it's revealed to be fairly empty. Some horse skeletons strewn about the place. It looks like a barn slash kind of stable, perhaps, of sorts. Broken barrels in the corner. Grass is starting to encroach into the barn. That's it.
Okay, nothing else of note.
Not without really looking. You can give me an investigation check if you wish.
Not great.
I'll help you to give you advantage.
Oh, okay. Better.
Yeah, the barrels contain what look like pretty viable grain. Like it was so dry, it sort of held up, and this portion of the barn doesn't have a hole in the roof. There is a hole above you over here. But these barrels contain grain that is stayed relatively dry, so there is I would say, we're to sacrifice a sack of some kind. There's 10 pounds of grain that you can use at your disposal in this barn. That's about it. Horse bones.
Right. Okay.
Do we want to set up the hut in the barn?
It would give us a kind of out of sight, out of mind type thing.
Well, that would be here, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, as a reminder, the hut is opaque and invulnerable, so it doesn't have to be in the barn. We can set it up literally anywhere.
Okay. And I leave it up to your discretion.
All right. The hut is set up, wherever that may be so mysterious. And it's up to you guys if you all want to sleep at once, or you want to take shifts to keep an eye out.
I would imagine we'd want to take shifts.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in this place.
Yeah. I'll take first watch.
All right, give me a perception check from Koza.
Come on, Dad needs a new pair of shoes. That's a 19.
Get the feeling. Now these are pretty dense woods. You guys did pass kind of a 100-yard field where there were sporadic trunks that were cut, almost like this used to be a maintained lawn. But it's also been overgrown with weeds over the past 50, 60 years to the point where there are large trees that are kind of shrouding things. Not ancient like redwoods that tower over you, but pretty decently sized trees. Get the feeling that somewhere in the distance, right where those trees start, that there is definitely a presence watching you. A singular source. That's the only thing you can feel. Not moving though. They don't get any closer, they don't run away. Just out there. The 19, you're able to notice that from where you are without a problem. That's all you see throughout the entirety of your watch. And your watch comes to an end and you wake up the next person, whoever that is.
I will also warn them of the presence that I sensed and to keep an eye out for it.
Hey, who's that going to be? Don't all volunteer at once.
I'll do it.
All right.
Yeah. Before my watch, I'm going to go ahead and cast Enhance Ability Owl's Wisdom on myself to give me advantage on wisdom checks.
Cool. Well, that's very apropos, so go ahead and give me a perception check. Advantage. Because you are kind of stepping through the veil and piercing through rubbing your eyes as you look through the darkness.
22.
Yeah, so as you kind of make the changing of the guard with Koza, he kind of points you in the direction that he spotted something in the darkness beyond the tree line. and you just kind of focus, and it takes you a little bit. Once you focus in, you get that feeling too. Not like a spooky paranormal feeling, but you literally have that feeling in the back of your neck that somebody is out there. There's a presence out there. They're not getting closer, but where Toza said they were, you get the feeling like maybe they changed position and they're about 30 yards to the left, perhaps somewhere there, or maybe to the right, 20 yards to the left, where they're a little, something about there's been a movement.
Okay. Do I get a vibe on whether this is like, do I get a spooky, malicious vibe, or
it's hard to tell. This place is it radiates.
This whole place gives us the creeps.
Such a hateful vibe that you do feel is dissipating. Something about cleansing this place of all of the creatures that were inhabiting it. You do feel a fading away of that horrible, nightmarish, skin crawly feeling that it gives you. But you also feel like it's got a long way to go.
Yeah. Okay.
That is all you see for your watch. There is no change in this presence out in the woods. But you start to get kind of tired and looking forward to sacking out again and completing your rest, which you'll only need one more person to watch, as it's about 4 in the morning.
Okay. I choose you, Pikachu. Baranor.
Perception.
Yep. Una kind of perks up, and she takes a walk around the perimeter of the barn, and while she's doing that, you are really, really mad at Sazras for waking you up because you were hoping that you wouldn't get picked.
Oh, I don't know why that roll was advantage, but Luna knows everything that's going on, apparently.
Yeah, Luna posts up right about here.
I don't know why that was advantage.
And she is kind of sniffing the air, and there is a very low growl coming from Luna. It's not a danger close. It's a unfamiliar with what's going on out there kind of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know what it is. You certainly don't, because you can't even sense where they are, because you're really tired. You had a rough day.
Yeah.
But Luna is just really standing guard over the group from afar, and uneasy and about the fact that she's unsure what's out there. However, that's all you get in the 2 hours that you have watch. Thanks to Luna, otherwise that would not have gone so smoothly. To all awaken, you may apply your long rest. 8 hours have been had. The tent drops. You are now in the full swing of an early morning in the forest.
All right, let's break fast.
Go get our horses.
Yeah, go get our horses.
Your horses are quite a ways down the mountain right now. Hill, really. But yeah, you guys eat breakfast, no problem, and able to.
Do we need to make, before we completely head out of here, do we need to make one last pass through the house? I mean, whatever that was that escaped may still be here.
We can do that.
Okay.
We did tell him that we would clear the house, right?
That was the deal.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who would like to, go ahead and give me a ahead and give me a perception check with advantage, and we'll just count it as like 2 rolls. As you scour the house. Whoever would like to do that. It's open to anybody. Go ahead and shout it out.
I'll do it. Oh, man. Damn it.
Stop it.
I'm a +9. Come on now. Jeez. Bad rolls.
Well, I wouldn't have done much better.
Anyone do it with advantage, or is it just...
One roll, I think.
Okay. I won't bother looking at
House looks clear.
All looks clear!
Yeah, 22.
You got a 22.
Yeah. And an 11.
You what?
It's much.
Oh, right. Hello,
All right,
Joe.
how are we looking, folks?
Okay, there we go. Where'd he go?
Who's my high rollers?
Maven rolled like a 22.
Yeah, Baronor and I rolled 14s.
Yeah.
So we'll go with hers.
Well, Maven are outside right now. So where do you want to focus your inspection of this place? Unless you guys want to donate a few hours to this, which is fine.
Yeah, can we just do like an old style take 20?
We'll say until you guys are able to kind of inspect the grounds. I mean, up here, you guys find that there's an old bleach stained, like sun bleached pool that's completely dried up. There's overgrown shrubs, bushes, and I will say that Haven, in your searching, which room did you want, or did you want to just do the whole thing once over?
Asking you.
I'll just do the whole once over.
Okay. So, you got a pretty high roll. So I'm going to have you roll a D100 for me. A D10.
Yeah. Okay.
You just write it on here.
I got it.
Okay.
85.
85. Right. So you come across in this room here, kind of a loose stone on the wall, and it just leads to a very small hidey hole. It's been covered up with kind of a brick. You find a little box, a wooden box that when you open it contains a kind of a stainless steel cylinder or a silver cylinder that when you unscrew it contains, we'll say 8 platinum, 5 gold.
Oh, wow.
And you also, inside the box, you also find a folded letter in an envelope. Looks very old. It's tanned with age. And a signet ring.
Can I read any of it?
Sorry?
Can I read it? Like, am I able to read it?
Yes, it is in common. And it is simply a last will and testament of Sigmund Altressel. Sigimund. And the signet ring is very nondescript. It looks like a family crest. It's not, shield with some images on it. It's a silver ring.
Okay.
All right. Whoever
good.
is following Maven, let's say you were looking around in this room, you noticed that there was a rather. You didn't really have time to inspect in here because of your combat with the ghosts, which, by the way, have all but disappeared. You haven't seen any instances of the undead of any kind in this castle since you emerged from the basement. But you notice that above the fireplace is a rather ornate kind of saber-like weapon. Looks like it's made of gold or bronze. It's encrusted with jewels, but it's also covered in... It's draped with cloth that looks like it fell from a chamber above you. And its deterioration, because this whole room is kind of collapsing.
You said that's in another room?
It's over here. Top of the map.
Top of the map. Yep. Okay.
But the place is pretty well picked clean for the most part.
Yeah. I'll get an old piece of wood to kind of pick it up. You said it's a saber, so it's got a knuckle guard. I'll get a piece of wood to kind of pick it up there from the knuckle guard and the pommel, and kind of take it out that way, because I ain't touching the damn thing until it's identified.
You mean I can't possess another of my characters with a creature inside of a weapon? Dang it.
Fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
All right, so that's the extent of what you find. I will consider the second level is completely devoid of anything of value, and the floor is very, very precarious. The floorboards are starting to collapse. This place is a mess. Any of you find yourself occasionally questioning why the Marquis wanted this property in the first place, but your day till about noon is complete. The grounds are searched and secure and safe. You can see the sun.
I want to cast Detect Magic on that saber.
Detect Magic. You waft your hand over the blade and unfortunately feel nothing. It feels cold and empty as far as magic is concerned.
Alright, one less cursed saber.
Very pretty. Kind of like it's almost like an officer's saber, like a Marine would have or an Army officer would have. Very thin and straight and lithe. And it's well decorated.
Which means it will be valuable.
There's gemmies.
Or useful.
Yeah, it's got an edge.
Useful in the amount of coin we can get from it.
So, being noon, you make your way down the hill to
where we left the horses and carts.
Your horses are fine. They spent the night kind of keep to each other. Looks like they wandered a little bit where their leads could let them and found kind of a natural raspberry patch where they've been munching on.
All right. So we talk to our cities and just to sell them. We're heading back to Dainne. Where do you guys hail from?
We hail from Dainne as well. I am Timut. And that's the man. And the female elf just kind of looks up and squints at the sun. I'm Eldrea. I hail from Dainne as well. Take us back. We will give you our thanks when we return and make our way back home.
Absolutely.
How are we horse wise for this?
If everybody has a horse or pony or whatever.
Right. Do we have room for more that we could easily?
Well, the one that Koza rides is immense. It's a very large horse, so it definitely could carry someone else. And any of the medium-sized people, definitely. Akir's pony will not carry someone else.
Well, we got the wagon too, don't we?
Did we bring the wagon? I can't remember.
Left that at home.
No, we did not. That's right, because we knew ahead of time that the train was going to be a little inhospitable for the wagon.
Our wagon is bugged.
It's not. Wagon is.
No. We got a new one.
Good to go.
Oh, we got a new one. Oh, sweet. Okay. The old one was.
The old one was foobar.
The old one's been burned.
Okay.
Turned into fire.
Yeah, that's all it was good for.
I forgot we bought a new one. Okay.
You have a day's journey from where you are back to Dainne. It's about a 25 mile journey. If you're carrying feeble civilians, it's going to be probably another 35-hour journey. So, what I'm going to need is 3 perception checks from anybody, and then a group survival check, and whoever gets the best will use that one.
All right, I'll give one of the perception checks.
21 perception.
I will as well. Let me make sure that that's not an advantage.
As will I.
Yeah, perception.
Oh.
There we go.
What about Atgeir?
Traveling through forest or grassland, difficult terrain does not slow the...
Wow, he rolled the same thing as me.
Everyone's doing perception?
Yeah, we'll take the highest. If you dare.
21 perception.
21 perception, eh?
Maven, are you just good at everything?
Yes.
Apparently not my con save last time.
As she continues to remind me.
Alright. Well, as you all take off, Paxton and Maven, and to a degree, although you're busy trying to think about what you want to do as far as, alright, you've cleared this out, you're going to get information on the breakers. What do we do to clear our name? Because you have been very focused in getting that task accomplished. So now you're going into kind of planning mode on your, you got a day to think about it. Maven and Axon, however, zero in on a approaching set of footsteps. It looks like it's also kind of utilizing the trees, kind of jumping from one tree, and when there's no tree, it'll hop down and kind of skitter across the forest floor, beelining it right for you. It's about 30 to 40 feet away at this point. Stops behind a bush.
I'll notify the rest of the group.
Oh, this day just keeps getting better.
I'll say you feel a pair of blades being unsheathed. You can kind of hear that happening. And held at the ready as a deep and strong but feminine voice breaks from the bush. Where's me husband?
Husband?
Aye.
Well, that can't be now.
Tracked him this far. Where is he? Where's Atgeir?
Oh no.
At this moment, Atgeir, standing behind the group, kind of hunched in his saddle, pokes his head from behind Sazro and says, "That you?" And out from the bush, clutching a pair of kukri-like daggers, is a stout female woman with a kind of a top-knot sort of braid, sort of like a Viking braid that runs down in a mohawk fashion down the back of her head, and a kind of a fading scar from the middle of her forehead down across her eye and into her cheek. And along that eye line, you notice that one of her eyeballs has actually been replaced with a stainless steel ball bearing.
Okay.
She approaches very slowly and intently, and stops about 5 feet from your horse's area. Sort of scans the crowd and then leans to the right to meet eyes with Atgeir, who at this moment is maneuvering his horse from behind the group. You all part ways. He hops down from his horse, making sure that the rest of you are still behind him, and tiptoes forward. Yeah. How'd you find me? Isn't hard. You lot make more noise than a rampaging group of orcs. And
say that again.
They have a moment where they you see Akir become warm for the first time, but also reserved and scared as this female dwarf looks perturbed, but relieved that she's found him. They embrace. You see them kind of mutter some words to each other, and then they turn to you. Akir kind of presents this woman to the group. This is my wife, Drea. Can't believe I didn't hear her coming, but she's always been better at this than me. So, these are my friends, mates, teammates, crown collectors. She kind of gives each of you a very short and let's move this along kind of expression bow.
How do, ma'am?
I do well now that I found what I was been looking for. You heading somewhere back now that you finished what you're doing in there?
So you
spit it out, Dragonborn.
So that was you last night watching us?
Aye, it was me. I had to chase off a couple of forest creatures, but managed to keep everything away from you for the evening. Didn't feel like revealing myself until tomorrow. I felt you probably had to deal with enough stuff in the dark down there that you didn't want one more to add to the fire.
Much appreciated.
Speaking of fire, what did my husband burn down this time? See Akir kind of go, hey, wasn't me, it was the wizard. Just starts pointing at Yuno.
Yuno probably like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anywho, I've got business with my husband, so if we could make it back to town, if that's alright with you, I'd like to handle this as soon as possible. You see Akir kind of like...
Well, I think you've actually been contracted by us, the Crown Collectors. He's part of our group right now.
Right, and you're going to collect on your quest, yes? So I'd like to accompany you because I have business with my husband.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you for your permission. You see Akir like, alright, enough, honey. Let's not start the fight in the middle of the forest. So...
Where is she in relation to us?
At this moment, she's with her husband who has dismounted, and the two of them have taken refuge on his pony.
Okay.
She is dressed very similarly to Akir at the moment. You notice that she's wearing wrapped leathers and kind of straps and buckles, and she's very, it looks like a very easily to move around in kind of outfit. She's got kind of a tattered cape, a hood that's down, but she puts her kukris away, and yeah, they make their way forward into the wilderness of the forests. So with your perception rolls and your survival checks, and with the addition of Drea and her rolls, which I rolled pretty high, she got a 22. You're able to, in many ways, avoid or at worst keep at bay a couple of instances with wildlife. Towards the evening of your trip, you encountered a small pack of owlbears that decided to keep their distance from you, being that you were all alerted and well prepared. They saw you as too much of a threat to be worth what they could get off of you. You also encountered a swarm of crows, a little larger than normal, but each one the size of a cat. But their presence in the forest made it difficult how big they were to maneuver in and amongst the trees to the point where you were able to keep them away too. You rested, the safety of the forest, didn't lose any horses in the night, and your watches went by without too much of a problem. You've discovered that a group this large pretty much keeps most baddies away. You make it back to the shining gates of the white city of Dainne in the morrow.
And over this time, I'm trying to strike up conversations, just trying to get a sense on what her travels have been like, what she has seen.
She notices you kind of pulling out your journal and beginning to scribble things as you kind of not stare at her, but just kind of give her a cursory glance, like noticing, how much wear and tear do her weapons have, what kind of state is her hair, has she been in the rough of it for a while, or has she kept herself up nice? And she sees you staring at her, and she goes, "What the fuck are you looking at, Dragonborn?"
Oh shit.
Oh, I am a teller of tales and spreader of stories, and I think you have an interesting story to tell. And so I like to write things down.
Interesting story to tell. Shall I tell him, Atgeir? And you see Atgeir kind of like, don't need to tell that story at all. It's fine. It's very boring. It's a sad story. You don't want to tell a sad story. It's one of a boring, sad story of a boring, it's very sad, very boring. And you see Drea just kind of like having him in the ribs.
I say in Dwarven, please tell us.
Atgeir kind of curses at you in Dwarven.
Well, we have plenty of time.
Drea just kind of removes her kukri from his rib a little bit and says, "Well, he's right, it is a sad story. It's not too boring, however. Mostly has to do with the fact that this one ran off when his commander in the army of Otnor, you would call Vorn, gave him a mission and he decided not to do it. And so that commander began to threaten his family. So this coward left in search of fame and glory and riches. Something he could send back to his family to get out of that situation. He's been gone for about 6 months, and only one package of money has been sent to us. It's just not enough. And now the commander is back. He's demanding us to pay him for our pleasure of staying in his city. That's not gonna happen, is it? You haven't found shite, have you? See Atgeir kind of drop his head. I found some coin there. What are you saying? That Captain Blocker is back. He told me he'd leave you alone for the next couple of years while I gather money for him. You hear them both kind of squabbling back and forth. And you do hear made mention of a Captain Braca. And how this person has pretty much dominated the criminal underbelly of a city, a realm of Votnor, called Aladurn. There, a couple of you have heard Atgeir mentioned before as where he's from. They talk, or you get the sense that there's an urgency to what Drea is talking about. That Captain Braca has already executed a couple people in their community for failing to provide for the gang that he runs.
And I'm assuming this Braca was the military commander that Atgeir defied?
Kind of. In your ability to write down lore and interest in this conversation, you coax out of Drea more and more information. And you glean that he's a military commander for the Kingdom of Votnor, sure. He also runs kind of a secret gang, too. And they call themselves the Fire Hand. And they are sort of like a secret police, underbelly criminal world backed by portions of the Kingdom of Votnor. In a semi-sanctioned way. And that this guy has been harassing citizens of Aladurn for decades. And that, yeah, he sent Atgeir on a mission to the surface world to collect, booty and fortune and it back to the city and give it to him as payment for not murdering his family, which he's got a wife, he's got a brother, he's got an uncle, he's got a grandfather, he's got aunts, uncles, cousins kind of spread out amongst the city. That's what they talk about their whole way back.
All right. So I think your description of that story was pretty spot on, Drea. Not boring.
Oh.
But a little sad.
Very sad.
Is there anything we can do out here?
Akir's very quiet right now. He's doing that 1,000-yard stare kind of thing as he rides. It's an expression you guys really haven't seen on him before, but only when he speaks of where he's from and the very brief times that he has, you notice this distance he's got in his eyes. And he has that now, and he's not really up for chatting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do reach the gates of Dainne. It's about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. You guys are pretty tired from travel. It's been an interesting couple of days. You find out that this morning marks the end of the joust, and that there was a foreigner, okay, who actually came out on top. He beat out Sir Luther for the top number one.
Oh.
And upon your return to the estate, you do see a very tired, very disappointed and annoyed Sir Luther. He's got dark circles around his eyes. He's looks very pissed off, but he puts on a face to welcome you all back. And the Lady Kethra is with him. She looks phenomenal. They're even starting to dress a little similarly, but they welcome you all. Lady Kethra kind of immediately dives onto the civilians that you have and begins casting healing spells. And you guys all have been too the last day or so, but ushers her in. You notice almost a war nurse side to Lady Kethra that you've never seen before. She lays them down on couches inside the estate, calls the guards, has the guards send messages to the watch, and Sir Thorsten and Lady Penelope also enter the scene. They make arrangements for a medical carriage to come for these people, who turn to you and mostly wordless, only through expression in their eyes, thank you for your assistance in freeing them from this horror that both of them are still pretty catatonic at this point. Just the relief of escaping that hellish existence is enough to keep them pretty quiet. And they eventually get taken away. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I was going to split the platinum that I found between the two of them.
Right on.
So that was 4 platinum each.
The gentleman is a little better shaped than the elf, and he grasps the money like I've never had this much in my hand before, ever. And they both kind of collapse on you and Atgeir and Baranor and all of you, not giving you hugs, but just making physical contact and kind of leaning into you as a way of saying thank you. And they eventually picked up by this carriage with a couple healers on it that are ready to take them to a nearby establishment. They nod at you as well and thank you and take them and go.
All right.
It is around noon. You do know that tomorrow is the start of the sword fighting competition. I will remind you all that you were given a sending stone by the Marquis.
I was just about to ask who has that sending stone still. I have one to shed, but
Marquis did slide a sending stone that went directly to him. To somebody. I don't know who has it.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, who has that?
I can just say for the best sake argument, I have it.
Okay.
That makes sense, too, because ever since you plucked that sending stone device apart, Lady Valeri's, that you have always, you've taken an interest in them, so I would say it makes sense that you have this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, the day is yours. What do you wish to do, Crown Collectors?
Well, I guess we send a message to the Marquis.
Well, go ahead. You've got the stone.
All right. It's what, 25 words?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Crown Collectors return to Dainne. House cleared. Awaiting instructions for rendezvous and debriefing.
Oh, got 7 left if you want. Actually, you have 12 left.
That house is a real fixer-upper.
In your head, you a couple seconds go by. You hear kind of a clearing of his throat. It is wonderful news. Come to the dustbin tonight. Have a little celebration in your honor. Okay.
All right. We have an engagement with the Marquis this evening at his usual haunt.
Oh, is there anything anybody would like to do between now and the evening?
I am going to re-oil my armor because I'm sure with the damage that I took underneath the cavern as well as the fire and everything, I'm sure it is expended its 100 points.
We reset that 100 points.
I will probably also oil my armor and
Cool.
weapons
Right on.
in preparation for the tournament tomorrow.
Axton, as you kind of post up in the barn with the old chariot, you found yourself there a few times wandering around and taking a look at that chariot and studying it. You decide to kind of use that as sort of a workshop for your armor and your weapons. And as you're rubbing this flaxseed oil into joints and the cutting edge, you do get a flash in your psyche of the blacksmithing competition. And kind of when you found yourself watching a short, gray-haired dwarf working, you did what you could to kind of absorb those movements and maybe try those out on your own. Being that you know now that was Moradin, the Allhammer. And while you're messing with your armor, you're also kind of playing around with some scrap steel. There's no forge, but you're trying to get the feeling of swinging. So you actually just start hitting it with a farrier's hammer that you find. So it's an interesting kind of feeling, trying to mimic the movements of someone that you've begun to revere. Anybody else would like to do anything? This is you can do something that costs 10 minutes or all day. It's up to you. You can go do whatever.
Also this afternoon, that military saber that we recovered from the house. Clean it up.
It is clean.
Okay. And so I ask you guys, do we present this to the Marquis as a token, or do we go on and sell it?
Is it just a rapier?
No, it's more of a cutlass or a saber, but it's straight.
Okay. What kind of weapon would that be considered in D&D terms?
Oh yeah, like a rapier. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't mind using it, but if we want to see if we can sell it for something, or present it, we can present it to the Marquis. I mean, if we want to get it like appraised first.
Sounds fine to me.
All right. I know just the woman to give it a look over.
All right. Let's do it.
Maybe let's go for a long distance run.
It was Mag. It was Mag.
What? Maggie. Yes, Maggie. Sorry, I was trying to whisper to the wife who had her mic on.
What are Drea and Akir doing?
Question. At this moment, Drea and Akir are engaging in some very heavy talk. They also went out for, and mind you, all kind of never really got a chance to get to know Drea. It was a lot of quiet talking between each other on the trip, and they've kind of continued that. You hear some shouting coming from one of the bedrooms of where Akir was staying at the estate. And also a little bit of crying and a little bit of laughing. And you actually hear kind of a fist fight break out for about 3 or 4 seconds. And one of you rushes up there and you notice that he's been decked and is bleeding from his lip. And she's also kind of got a bruise on her side. And it just seems like that's how they get down in the Dwarven world.
This is just the Dwarven idea of a marital squabble. Okay.
And
that's foreplay.
Like Klingons.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever tweaks your freak, I guess.
Don't yuck someone's yum.
We don't kink shame.
Says the monk over here.
No, says Stephanie. Maven doesn't understand the concept of kinks.
But she does understand the layout of the city at this point. As you go for a nice long run and you kind of do an inward spiraling corkscrew from the edge of the city, winding all the way around, you witness a lot of things in your run that you kind of almost do it in a trance kind of a way where you're not really intervening in anything that you see. You see a pickpocket. You notice a mugging. You see a couple people get assaulted, but you don't really intervene. You kind of take this as a way of you kind of darting across the rooftops and just getting a real lay of the land. You start weaving in and out of neighborhoods, and then you take kind of a straightaway from the main thoroughfare, dodging people left and right. You get a couple dirty looks. At this point, you have an intimate knowledge of the streets of Dainne, so I'm going to say that any investigation or perception check on how to find something in the city, you're now going to have advantage.
Thank you.
Yeah, 4 hours of running in a city is a lot. But you're tired and ready to end it by the time the evening comes. Oza, is there anything you wanted to do, Axton, besides you're oiling your armor and stuff?
No, I'm good.
You just kind of hang out at the estate? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't really think I need to go shopping or anything, so I'll wait for the market to open up before I go look for some new weapons.
Yeah, the market,
need more weapons.
Is open. I mean, you're going from like 2 o'clock as far as how long it took you to finish up your armor and practice your moves, and 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the markets, you guys all know, they close at sunset. So.
Yeah. Well, eventually I will want a new weapon, but I'll hold off for now.
Baranor, anything for you?
I was going to go with...
You mean a battle axe from the gods isn't enough?
I know, right? Who was going to go appraise the...
I'll go with you.
All right, so you visit the Goliath female Maggie with this mohawk-like braid of bright red hair that parts at the back of her skull. These 2 braids rest on her shoulders. She's swinging an axe right now into a chop of wood. She's testing the strength and durability of the edge on one of her newly made hand axes. She kind of stops, a little bit of sweat between her eyes, looks over at you. Eleanor, good to see you. What you got for me today?
Good to see you as well. Oh, we've, been out doing a bit of adventuring and came across a blade of some quality that we want to have you take a look at.
She kind of throws the head of her hand axe down into a stump and kind of wipes her hands with a rag and kind of walks over to you. Well, it's a fine piece. Looks no different than a typical ceremonial kind of sword. Worth, as just a base weapon, 25 gold. This is very special and contains some jewelry and accoutrement to give it a little bit of flair. So I would say to the right buyer, you might be willing to get at least 300 gold for it, just based on the shape of it and the jewels that remain. There are a couple, by the way, a couple of little jewels have popped loose from the sword, and that's how you found it. So it's not in pristine condition. I unfortunately can't afford to buy it right now, but I know if you take it down the lane and go to one of the more reputable blacksmithing shops, or perhaps even a jeweler who may put a mark at this, you'll get maybe a little more.
Very nice, thank you. How's business?
Business is good. It's difficult to compete with the bigger boys, but I'm doing my best and making a living. Doing mostly hand axes for the axe throwing competition. And kind of sold out at the moment, except for this one. I just finished this one, so he kind of picks it back up and runs it across a stone. How about you? How have you been?
Can't complain. I don't know if you saw me during the archery contest or not.
I didn't see it, but I heard you won. That's really great. I think it's all due to the fact that we collaborated on those daggers. It gave you the inspiration to do well in your competition.
Absolutely. Young Axton didn't do as well with with his competition with smithing, but he did fairly well.
It's too bad. I kind of gave him some pointers the last time he was here. But I did hear that the gray-haired dwarf won again. Is that true?
Yes. From what I heard from Axton, yes, that was the one who beat him.
Olligrim, huh?
I hear it was a fiery competition.
Well, it would be when you see her kind of disregard.
It would indeed.
And continue kind of working on this axe. Well, I wish him luck, and I wish you all luck. Was there anything else I could get for you?
Oh, no. Just wanted to swing by and chat a bit,
You're always welcome, Baranor. If you have any more interesting weapons, don't mind bringing them back here. I'd like to look at the stuff you bring me.
Will do.
All right.
So I will say that you walk down the street, you dip into a couple blacksmiths, you shop the sword around there. One of them offers to give you 100 gold. You feel you could probably get more. Go to the next blacksmith, he offers you 125. And you think about taking that until you go to a jeweler who looks at you and says that he's got someone that he can look at this and perhaps identify its time period or its original owner, or any information may increase the value that he can then turn it over at an auction. Offers to keep it in his shop, and he'll pay you 5 gold a day that it's there while he's having it researched.
That sounds good to you?
Right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
So for now, he'll give you 5 gold. He'll, send a message when he's finished with his inspection. Anything else anybody would like to do?
We're staying. Okay, no.
Is evening that night of that day, and nobody has anything else. You all make your way through the thoroughfare towards the dustbin this time, sticking to the main roads. I will say this: Maven, Axton, and all of you do notice that once again you're being followed at a very, very safe distance, about 120 feet behind you. Maven especially kind of hops up on the roofs of a couple buildings. Now that she's been around this city all day, she knows the layout, and she's actually kind of leading the route because she's kind of scouted this out during the day. And you just kind of see these 2 black shrouded, hooded individuals just kind of dipping between traffic, and you notice that they've been behind you for about 20-30 minutes, and say they notice that you notice them. You see them kind of put their hands up into their sides like, hey, it's us, it's us. We have to be here. Please don't kill me. Please don't send your shadow monsters to kill us. You see them kind of weave into the crowd, and 2 more weave in from another side of the street. And eventually they kind of disappear, and someone else replaces them across rooftops. And this kind of dance that the Marquis' men perform surrounding the perimeter, you get the feeling that, holy cow, there's a lot of people in his employ just dancing around the perimeter of the dustbin to keep an eye on what's going on. And it really speaks to his influence and his reach that he has this network of people. Perhaps wherever he goes, he's from Brackenshire, but it's just kind of an impressive display of power in the city. But they leave you alone. They definitely do not approach any closer than they are until you get about 20-30 feet from the entrance to where you see a couple people kind of closing in behind you, maybe closing a gap in the perimeter. And again, you approach the entrance, and the room is dimly lit. There's about 6 or 7 people scattered about the bar. A couple of them are singing a merry tune into their tankards at the bar itself. A couple of dwarves. While there's what looks like a hooded dragonborn of red scale and surly disposition who's posted up back to the wall at a table. And a couple more individuals like that, just kind of scattered about the place. The bartender just sort of gives you all this very long once-over. And takes him a moment, he's a half-ogre, to recognize you. And he's like, collectors, right?
That'd be us.
Yeah, you can go back and see the boss.
The boss, he owns this place now, huh? Alright. Head on back.
Head on back. You can hear a ruckus from the back immediately. It's almost like the front of this establishment is intentionally filled with a smattering of quiet patrons. But as you make your way behind the bar through the red beaded curtain, you can hear people carousing and drinking and laughing and singing. You can hear the thumping of darts hitting a wooden target in the corner. There's a group at a makeshift table of about 11 people all playing some elaborate card game. And in the corner, a little more shadowy, but definitely more lit up than last time, you see the frame of the Marquis sitting at a table with what looks like a dark-skinned dwarf to his right and a light-skinned humanoid or human-type creature to his left, and they're talking and drinking, and he notices you and wipes his head up and welcomes you over to the table. He's like, my friends, you have returned. So, how goes it with my mansion up north in the forest?
Definitely a fixer-upper.
We do not deny that. So I will take the time to regale him with our trip details, the state of the house, the unwanted denizens.
As soon as you mention the vampires, he perks up, not totally in recognition, in concern over this revelation. Vampires, you say? What was... You say they're all dead now?
Well, they were dead already.
They were undead, and then we deaded them. We re-deaded them.
Well, I've never been a fan of the undead. And that they were taking advantage of this property for so long definitely explains the stories surrounding this establishment. Cursed nature, so to speak. Why anyone that ventured near it was never heard from again. Vampires all along. Did you happen to find anything in the manor itself?
Anyone want to present that amulet?
I threw that away back at the dungeon, remember?
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, yeah, that's right.
It's pretty much picked clean. It looks like several decades of looters took most everything of value.
Make a deception check. The seasoned thief in the Marquis kind of scans your eyes, and is kind of you can feel him searching for. You can feel the Marquis searching for a nugget, a shred of doubt on your face of what you're saying, but his insight rolled like shit, and you rolled really well in deception, so he believes you. Yes, this house has been abandoned for many a year, and I do not see any reason to think that there is anything of value in it anymore. However, you're probably wondering why I wanted it in the first place. See,
well, the thought did cross our mind.
It's to sit on a very particularly concentrated vein of energy. I don't know if you noticed, but it feels very strange there. And it can bring out the worst in people, as they say. It's what everyone believed happened to the Maltreso families themselves. They believed that over time, living there, they simply became cursed and died off. For decades, nothing has been done about the property. Nobody wanted it. Trying to find out if there is a way to harness that energy and turn it into something useful. Not exactly sure. If I find out it's just an evil place, maybe I burn it to the ground and cut my losses, but such raw negative energy has to have some use, don't you think?
We did find a broken teleportation circle underneath. I'm not sure if that's of any use.
Well, unfortunately, if a teleportation circle is reduced to rubble, its destruction of its glyphs really renders it useless.
I do bring up one thing though, the inscription above the blood sacrifice door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do, turn to my journal, the double face, right there where I dictated what it said. It's like, this is a language that is foreign to me, I must regret. And I turn it over to Marquis for him to read. Then I was like, do you have any idea what this may say?
Kind of looks at it briefly and... Well, I can tell you it is not undercommon. It is not common, it is not elvish. Definitely looks like undercommon. I do not speak it, of course. Fortunately, Raya, take a look at this. And he hands this note to one of his henchmen, a dark-skinned drow with kind of a white dreadlock laying over one of his left eye under a deep, dark hood. Ah, yes. It is some kind of very dark and evil riddle. Something about offering your life's blood for access to beyond. It's not exactly a eloquent kind of language. That's all I have, boss. And get this feeling that you guys figured out what the purpose of the door was. That's pretty much what the Undercommon was stating. In weird,
okay, just instructions.
Kind of not easy to understand, kind of a poem. Like a lot gets lost in translation.
Gotcha, but some sort of cryptic instruction on what to do.
The more blood you give, the faster the door opens, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Also, in full disclosure, we also discussed the cavern where the oozes came from, and given what the Marquis said, that may be the access point to your negative energy vein.
Let's see. Black ooze. Well,
at least they were coming from there.
Well, what do you think it is? It could dull to some mountain John. Perhaps a gathering of negative ooze-like creatures is a vein of some underground river of ooze material. Interesting. I'll send my scouts there and check it out. Very interesting.
Actually, they're heavily armed.
Yes, I can tell you that it was good that you gave me such ease in this task, as this is why I hired a mercenary team instead of my henchmen that fortunately I've lost two trying to ascertain the status of this heap. Now.
Oh, we also did save two civilians too.
Right, and describe the horrors underneath at the deepest cavern and describe our efforts to save the civilians.
You get the sense he doesn't show any visible discomfort with you describing the room, but you definitely feel the livelihood and boisterous attitude from him kind of shrink a little, and kind of a very shallow, very barely there sense of compassion and concern for whatever went on in that place. But he keeps a pretty stone face and air of arrogance and confidence during this interaction. But kind of puts his hands together and stands to his feet and says, "Tishon, please, give me the room with my new friends, as we must discuss business further and want some privacy, so shoo, go on. You see kind of his, the room start to empty out, and some of the larger members of the Marquis' retinue kind of usher out others that perhaps maybe they're not members of the syndicate, they're just kind of there to party because they know somebody. They all leave. Until it's just you, the Marquis, and two of his more trusted guards. You've seen them before. So, I believe I owe you something, do I not?
Yes.
Yes.
They have performed their service for me in making this residence available for fortification and proper cleansing and maybe some TLC to the infrastructure, don't know yet. Exchange for some information. that right?
That is correct.
It is.
Yes.
About the,
The Breakers.
the
A
breakers. Yeah.
feckless band of thugs and murderers. They give people like us a bad name, Barinor. Time
They do
will
indeed.
cleanse themselves, don't you think?
Absolutely.
It's apropos that I send you on this mission, as the place you're looking for is also a keep hidden away. The Breakers, I am told, have taken residence at a place called Stonehelm Keep.
Someone write that down.
Oh, I am.
It is an interesting place. As I have been told, it is an abandoned keep, much like the Maltrestle estate. This was the home and seat of House Gladden, if I believe. House Gladden is also Glaadin.
Glaadin. Okay.
House Gladden is one of these typical large, old, ancient families. Just like ancient civilizations, eventually they wither and die. And so it was with House Gladden. They lost their political power, retreated to their home, and eventually the family married away and squandered their fortunes, and poof, they died out. However, it is a rather strategic piece of property, much more strategic than the Maltrestle estate, I can assure you. Stonehelm Keep is nestled in the Grasping Ridge mountain range. It's only physically accessible by airship or up the Viperous River through the Shrouded Gate, the base of the mountains. If you want to get there, you have to travel to the fishing and lake town of Hystale. It's Hystael.
Okay.
It is not far from Dainne. It is upriver, and perhaps 3 or 4 hours at a hard ride from here to the northeast.
And then at Hystale, is that where the entrance to the mountain range is located?
The town of Hystale is a, shall we say, isolated community. They are fishermen and provide for each other, do not really care for outsiders. Is there imperial taxes, sure, but it is not exactly a hotbed of welcoming attitudes. This is why I do not really operate out of Hystale at all. I do not have a chapter house. And I try to keep my distance, as who wants to trade with fishermen anyway? Travel northeast out of Hystale along the river to find the Shrouded Gate, which is in some way an offshoot of the mouth of the river as it comes down from the mountain. Travel up from the Shrouded Gate through a series of stairway tunnels up into the bowels of Stonehelm Keep itself. The Breakers have been using this as a base of operations mostly because it has a functioning teleportation circle. You can get anywhere from it. Anyway, I do not exactly know when they will return, but I do know that they pulled off a job in town and perhaps will be returning to travel to somewhere else or simply rest and recover. Perhaps in the next few days might be an opportunity to confront them and quash this debt you owe the Empire. That is the cost of doing business. I consider myself repaid to you for my part in your debt. You agree?
Indeed.
Yes, very much so.
I do believe we're all square.
Where?
Getting rid of the breakers will help business as well.
It definitely will. It will make things easier for me to operate back in Buckinghamshire and beyond, of course. So, that being said, I want to wish you luck, and please enjoy yourselves here tonight. Drinks on the house, of course.
Thank you.
Is that here still with us?
Edgar is with you.
Was he still having a conversation with his wife?
He kind of slammed the door when it was ready to go, and slammed his door. And you heard Drea kind of yelling at him, like, "Yeah, that's what you always do." And he joined you for this meeting for sure.
I'll say to him in Dwarven, in moderation.
Hey, laddie. SDB overwhelmed.
We don't want to repeat it last time.
If we find you find me in prison tomorrow, it'll only be because I'm trying to get away from the messes.
Understandable. Anyways, back to common.
There's no real formal stage at the dustbin, although it looks like there's kind of a corner where there's sort of a guy playing a pan flute. Couple of the under a dozen patrons in the bar really aren't paying him too much mind. And but as you guys all exit the back room, the Marquis joins you in the front room, and you can feel the energy start to return to the bar, as perhaps you can, with the Marquis being present, maybe the people out front are allowed to relax and actually have a good time and not look so menacing and off-putting.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the time to cast Enhance Ability Eagle's Splendor to give me advantage on charisma checks. And I am going to begin to strike up a tune.
What with? What are you?
Say again? I'm going to my mandolin that is always with me.
Oh, go ahead
And I'm just going to start beginning with some happy, rainy drinking songs.
Well, why don't you go ahead and give me a nice fat performance check with advantage.
24.
24. Let's see. Yeah, do this one. Tell you what. I make a dig. So, kind of strum up into a very somber song that sort of brings everybody from the edges a little closer to the corner. And you're kind of pouring into this song the melancholy feelings that you still kind of have over this encounter with this vampire coven. It's not a sad song, but it's definitely on the, not everything has to be boisterous and crazy and party. Like, it's got a little substance to it. You do get a couple of the people, you see this large, mustached, fat kind of half-orc human kind of do a little sniffle and a napkin to his eye, and that sets off a couple of male halflings that are sort of leaning into each other and listening to this song play out, and it's definitely bringing up emotions within the crowd that they all had on their own already, that definitely is accentuated by this emotionally charged song as you do your best to make light of horrible, horrible memories that are now ingrained in your mind of this place where all of these people were tortured and killed. And while not bringing down everybody, definitely fill them with emotional kind of community that's experiencing all of this. You can actually feel Anthem's edge pouring this magical, musical energy through you. And as you finish your song, there's a very sudden but definite applause from the crowd filled with sombering kind of cheers and tearful cries. And you toss some coin into your hat there, bud.
Okay.
And they toss total of 33 gold, 54 silver. Not bad. Just about everybody's a little teary-eyed or misty-eyed at best. And yeah, you definitely brought some number. Yeah, you made the feels out of it. Goes into the crispy coldness of the evening until it gets to be about where you guys are all thinking about picking off for the night, maybe going for a walk or heading back to the estate or whatever it is you wish to do over the course of the night. And right there is where we'll take our break.
All right, cool. Yay.
It's 4:25 Eastern Standard Time. We will all meet here at 4:40. And we'll see y'all later.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Are we back yet? Everybody on board?
Most of us.
Toot toot.
All right. We got Noah. We got Steph.
Steph's back. She's
Cool.
She's here.
Oh, if there was nothing that anybody wanted to do to end the evening at the dustbin, and if there is,
The dustbin.
what's that?
On the way home, I said on the way home, I would like to ask Yuno. I understand he got a book from the tomb. I would like to look over that diary as well. Could make some interesting story material.
The library fee is 12 gold per day. Cash only. No check.
What about the friends and family discount?
24 gold a day. No cash, no check. Or only cash, no check.
Asshole. All right.
Normal customers pay the normal price, and good customers pay double. No, I dig out the book and hand it to Sazaros.
I mean, it's a very simple brown leather-bound journal. It's not terribly large. It's all filled up, almost to the last page. It is the personal journal of Valian Altressel. I didn't make a history check. Yeah, Valian. Valion.
History. 14.
Any particular bells? You've actually never heard of the Maltrestle family. They've been extinct for it. You can gather talking to the Marquis and maybe some people within the syndicate over the course of the evening. You get the feeling like they were a big deal back in the day. Maybe 100 years into the rule of the Zeph Empire, and that they were a big to-do. But something went horribly wrong at some point in their family line, and this Valian Altressel is, you can gather, one of the last, if not the last, surviving members of the Maltrestle family. And most of the journal is filled with recounts of what the family was up to, and its acquiring of certain businesses, its selling of goods, its ability to expand its influence throughout the empire, and also the fact that its influence began to shrink very slowly. It's not until 3 or 4 pages before the end of the book that you notice that Valian was mourning the loss of several members of his family, and they couldn't really figure out what it was. The one that looked like they died of fever or became extraordinarily ill. And it's not until the last page that you find that he had been curious one day at a particular sound coming from beyond the wall of his family's secret room in the cellar, and that one day he became so curious, in fact, that he brought some excavation equipment and began to beat down the wall, and found that there was this passage, and didn't understand exactly why this was here, what it was for. There was a destroyed teleportation circle, and that's the last entry in the journal, is this this tunnel entrance that was found. Within the estate itself, you managed to find a shredded portrait kind of against a wall behind a couple layers of tattered drapes, and the person had long red hair and a very trimmed goatee, just regally. From what you could see, you couldn't really see too much of his frame. And now that you're sitting here reading this journal and remembering what you saw within, the feeling that it's possible that this master vampire you fought and killed perhaps was Valiant, perhaps was the last heir to this estate. His entire family succumbed to this horrible negative energy that consumed them and eventually consumed him. And you might have been fighting the whole time members of the Maltresel family, with Valiant as its leader.
Oh. Well, there's a cautionary tale for you.
It's mostly a boring read, this book. It's not only until the last 3 pages that you become grossly interested, and you're like, well, I want to know more. Tell me more. Like, what happened after he found the tunnel? Was he turned? Did he just become a vampire? Like, what happened? There's so much missing here.
Now, and why was this very boring, dull diary in his coffin with him? Interesting. Not very many answers, but quite some interesting questions.
Anybody else wish to do anything on your way home that evening?
Oh, and I give you 2 copper.
I'm going to take out my ring of transmutation, and I'm going to turn the 2 copper into 2 silver.
Very good. So you do. Turns his hand around and brings it back up, and you see that those copper pieces are a little shinier than they were when you gave it to him.
All right. So, guys, again, on the walk home, if we haven't made it home already, so I'm thinking we participate in our events tomorrow, and then during those couple of days of other miscellaneous events before the unraveling, maybe that may be time to venture up to kick some breaker ass.
I agree.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good to me.
All right. But first, tomorrow.
Okay, well, the evening goes by. You guys are finding that it's welcoming beds you have been kind of occupying the last couple weeks at the Hargrove estate are as comfortable as they have ever been. And in the night, Koza, you begin to stir. In your sleep, you see a thick, dense forest, not terribly dissimilar from the forest you just returned to at the Maltresel estate. Except in this forest, you feel a warm and welcoming and calming presence of ancient and imposing origin. you see through the trees 2 sets of 3, so 6 blue eyes, almost like a spider, but spread out almost like in a V pattern. And with these 6 eyes, you feel a presence of nature that you don't recognize, but carries with it the same motherly or fatherly embrace that some of the dark corners of the forest where you're from was kind of like that. It doesn't feel quite like home, but it feels like a reassuring hand on your shoulder. These eyes just kind of don't stare at you with malicious intent, but they definitely make their presence known. They don't seem to be attached to any body. They're sort of floating in midair. Your evening goes by pretty much only that as what you experience. Axton, your muscles are a little tight from practicing your new moves all day, and you're clutching your greatsword with a little, and your lion's head axe with a little tightened grip as you anticipate for tomorrow's sword fight. Same goes for Sazaros, or Anthem's Edge. Seems to be very comfortable in your grip as you sleep. And Baranor, you find yourself holding the Windrazor at your side as you kind of blissfully drift off into sleep. Day comes to you. The morning misty air kind of rolls into Dainne off the northern mountain hills, and you kind of all rouse and feel yourselves getting ready for the day. Today is the first preliminary trials of the sword fighting competition. If someone wants to refresh my memory on who entered that.
I think it was just me and Axton.
Sazaros did as well.
Sazaros?
Yes, Axton, Sazaros, and Baranor.
So, like with the blacksmithing competition and the archery, those of you who are not participating in this, and that would be Koza, Yuno, Maven. What would you guys like to be doing at this time? You can accompany your teammates, cheer them on, or you can conduct your own business. It's totally up to you. Let's start with Koza.
I mean, nothing's really coming to mind. I guess I'll kind of shop around a little bit, maybe stop at Fodal's.
And Yuno, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna go to the library.
And Maven, what's Maven doing?
I'm just gonna accompany them to the event.
Company's much appreciated.
Let's see here. Well, okay, you kind of part ways with the Hargroves. It doesn't appear that either brothers are going to be taking part in the sword fighting competition. Hargrove's son Reese, however, wishes to kind of approaches Baranor and Axton and Sazaros, and he's got a little wooden sword. He just kind of like pokes it at your legs, kind of like, tells you all to make sure that you swing once for him.
We'll certainly do our best.
As you finish your breakfast and get yourself ready for the day, the carriage stands ready to take you down to the grounds on the outskirts of the city, just out the southern gate of the city of Dainne. Several, a half dozen to a dozen stone circles encapsulate a central tent. And you can see that these circles are filled with sand or rough dirt of some kind. And you see little tufts of dust kick up as people are sparring within these circles. And there appear to be people kind of hovering around the outskirts of these circles. They're about 30 feet across, maybe 35 feet across each of these fighting circles. And several people with clipboards kind of making notes and judging things. And you do notice that most of these people engaging in these bouts are both walking away. There don't seem to be any terrible injuries occurring, but perhaps this is either a non-lethal portion or the entire tournament is non-lethal. That kind of informs you perhaps on how you want to interact with this competition and how you want to behave.
Okay. So I guess is there like a registration table or something like that?
And you get shown to a kind of a tent, and the central tent, and kind of direct you to along the edge of the tent. There's somebody with another clipboard, and they're kind of talking to people, and you see they've got a large chest behind them, a couple guards on either side, and they're accepting what looks like entry fees.
Okay. So we'll make our way to the tent, and did we already assume that we paid our entry fees? Did we already deduct that from our registers?
I did. I don't know about the rest of everybody.
I thought I did too.
It was I've written down somewhere. 25?
For the sword fighting, 15 gold per person.
Oh, it's 15. Okay.
I'll subtract mine just in case. I don't want to make a mistake.
Well, with your fees paid, let's go ahead and bring you all over to the tournament grounds. Alright, so you do find yourselves amongst a cluster of fighting circles. Several of them are occupied, so we're going to focus the top three, or excuse me, the middle two and the top one in the middle. Here, and here. I'm going to have Exton, yourself in one of them, Dazros in another, and Baranor in the third. Really up to you. It's at this time that you all get before one of these judges with a clipboard. He asks you your name, he asks you your fighting style, what you typically are used to using, and reminds each of you this is a non-lethal portion of the bout.
Portion.
That's correct. She's kind of a stout dwarven woman with kind of bushy brown sideburns and kind of dreadlocks that are tied in sort of a top knot behind her head. And she brings each of you a combatant. So.
Hope that cart full of bodies is an indication of how this is going.
Oh, God.
All right, so first up, Axton. You are brought what appears to be. You see a man, a human-looking gentleman with brown hair. He's wearing kind of a chain shirt and is carrying a big, giant buster sword on his back.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Cloud.
For reals.
Yeah.
I think you guys could see that. All right. And for Baranor, you find what looks like kind of a swashbuckling pirate sort of guy in like kind of flowing clothes, half cape. He's got a rapier at his side that he pulls out. And Sazaros, you get a very burly and tall, well-adorned, armored Warhammer and shield touting dwarf. Oh.
This promises to be fun.
Warhammer torting? I thought it was supposed to be blades.
I thought this is all sword fighting.
I explained to you that sword fighting, it's more of a matched kind of fighting style. Weapons. It started out obviously as typically just like fencing and sword fighting, but it has branched out into different types of blades. Like you don't fence with a buster sword, but this guy's allowed to bring his. That. No magic.
No
Understood.
magic.
So here's how this is going to work, guys.
Okay.
All you have to do is beat their AC, and you describe how you attack, and instead of doing base damage, you score a point. 1 to 10 points wins their match and moves on to the next stage. That's how this works. So why don't I have 3 of you go ahead and roll initiative, please?
I don't have it clicked. 14.
Dang it, I didn't have mine.
I gotta kill all of this. Right. Yeah, sorry, I had to do that. Do it again.
Do it again? Right.
So, my initiative is 13.1.
Wow. I rolled 19 for my initiative.
I just kept that first one. All right.
Great.
There we go.
Not bad. All right. To go. So, Nazaros, you are able to think very quickly, and this dwarf immediately darts towards you. You are up first.
All right. So I'm going to try to kind of spin around where his shield is and try to spin around and get him in the back.
All right, go ahead and make your attack. Ooh, very, very nice. You spin around, and it did not expect a dragonborn as tall as you to move as fast as you do, and Anthem's Edge actually got, and you kind of skitter across its surface just enough to kind of tap on an upward motion in between shoulder and breastplate from behind, right where he's holding his shield, and it's the weakest. You can tap it in there and get a little flick. You can hear him wince a little bit as the blade just barely grazes the soft underbelly of his armor. Judge calls for a point to be awarded to Zazaros.
Yay!
See here. Being that he is next, 2 of you kind of continue your bout across this thing. Say you're like that. He's also going to spin around. See him kind of position his shield to block anything coming in on his left. He just brings his warhammer, his hand warhammer, a sweeping, gliding attack against you. Or that's a 23. 23, so his warhammer collides with your hardened leather armor to a point where you actually feel a rib kind of not break, but give a little bit beneath it. And you're just like, oh, man.
Okay.
That's his turn. Axton, you're up next.
Okay, so this is about blades. Am I allowed using my halberd? I am, okay. That'll give me a reach advantage. Okay, I get there and I will try to attack him with my halberd.
Yeah, that hits. How does that look?
Okay. I'm going to try to dig in and sweep and try to, aim for his legs. Hence why I'm going to try to do a trip attack.
He has a pretty decent strength. That's a 16.
That's just what you need to beat.
He sees it coming. You kind of cleave with your your halberd right into his legs, and his leg armor kind of absorbs a lot of that blow, although you can see him wince really hard. But as you kind of pull back with your halberd to sweep his leg out, you see him kind of sidestep and bring his knee up and just barely miss that.
Okay, and then I'll make my second attack.
Do. What you doing with your hand axe?
And this time I'll. Oh, sorry, that wasn't supposed to be my hand axe. That was supposed to be my halberd.
Same, so it hits.
Yeah, sorry. I'll do just like a normal overhead chop. I know that it's supposed to be non-lethal, so I'll, not aim for the head.
Noble of you. Right.
Then I will move over here and then go into my tunnel defense.
That's 2 points for Axton. 1 for Sazros, 1 for Angmar the Ironclad. Alright. The fella in front of Baranor, he's this flourish with his rapier, and he goes in for he dives forward, drops to one knee, and goes in for like a side swipe right into Baranor's ribs. That's, natural 18. That's gonna be a 24.
That's my...
He kind of whips his rapier in between your defenses as you hold... What are you holding, by the way?
I'm holding the wind razor and at your shield.
You see him kind of snake his rapier right in between shield and your wrist that you're holding the razor, and you feel him kind of tap you in the chest like, "Hey, bud," bink, right there. And he gets awarded a point. Cross, the Master Sword wielding humanoid, he has pale glowing white eyes with no pupils. Well, like a human variant of some kind, very strange. He's going to bring up his gigantic Master Sword, going to move into your space. There.
I make an opportunity attack as long as he moves greater than 5 feet within my reach.
Yeah, that'll hit too. Alright. So as he approaches, you kind of just do like a quick flick, and you catch another point, and you just see him like, very frustrated. He kind of snorts a little bit, digs his heels in, brings his sword way above his head, and gets ready for a very hard to miss, really, sweeping glide across your midsection. Let's see. It's just to hit you, because you're both in pretty leather armor with a chain shirt, and you're in full plate. It's a 22.
Mm-hmm. I am in full plate.
Yeah,
that'll hit me.
You kind of see it coming. He's choreographing and announcing his movement very clunkily. As it's such a large sword, it's hard for him to have any finesse. It's so big that it's just a little too difficult for you to get out of the way, and you can feel it kind of glide with your shoulder armor, and you get pretty pissed because you definitely feel a dent in your armor that you just got done oiling. I don't feel like he pulled any punches with that attack. Let's just say that. Baranor, you're up.
All right. 19.
Yeah, that hits.
Before I attack, I'll be, "Are you ready?" And I will sweep in under his guard and tap him on the hip or something.
And the wind razor moves almost like it's as light as a feather. It's so easy to twirl around and flourish that you kind of watch him do his neat little movement with the dipping and diving and tapping you on the chest, and he stands upright, and you kind of whip. You already have your sword. You just kind of get him right on the ass. Bink! And the judges are kind of looking at him.
Well, no, I get extra attack, standard stuff.
Yeah, it did.
Correct. It's